Okay, good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. This is Lisa McCoy, and I'm the Director of Futures and Programs. And we're with you this evening to be able to review all the safety protocols that will be in place as we come into the national indoor tournaments for all age groups. There's a few different protocols for the Pennsylvania sites at the Spooky Nook Sports Complex than with the Richmond site. We will be reviewing both this evening and all the testing requirements and everything. So before we get started, I'm just going to turn things over to Casey Niederer, our futures coordinator, who's helping us tonight sort of run the background of our live event. And she's just going to give you a sort of housekeeping on how to ask questions and how we will take the questions throughout the evening. All right, Casey, take it away.
Yep, thanks, Lisa. Thanks, everyone, for joining us tonight. So in the top right corner of your screen, you're going to see a little box with a question mark in there. That's where you're going to go to put any comments, concerns, questions that you have throughout the night. If you lose sound, if you can't see us for some reason, please send it in the chat and I will try to get to you as soon as we can. We're going to try to get to questions while we go along our bigger topics. But if we don't ask your question, please know we will save them for the end and we will try to get to all of them. Again, when you guys send a chat or a question, you won't see them. We will choose what is being seen and what isn't. So just keep that in mind. You're in the right place. When you send a chat, we are viewing them and going through them all. So I think that's good. Lisa, I will send it back to you.
Okay, thanks, Casey. And Casey, I see someone mentioned something about they can't hear us. I'm assuming there is a
Yep, so when that happens, they'll just need to refresh.
Okay, so you want to type that in the chat to them. So, okay. All right. So the first thing I'm going to do is share my screen. I just want to show everybody where you can find the event guide that we have created that you can follow along tonight in for points. And also just going forward, we will update this if we have any changes. But if you go to our main website and you do the drop-down menu, you go to events, and right here we have the 2021 National Indoor Tournament. And then you can find all kinds of information, not just about the information packet, but big and bold right here. We have the NIT Club information packet. That is for your club admins, that's for our parents, that's for anybody to understand and just see the sort of structure laid out that we're going to be following here. As we go into the national indoor tournaments. Eventually your schedules will be in there. We have an online video for Touchline if you want to look at that. When the schedules are released, they're going to come up in here for each age group. So just if you didn't know where that was, I'm just pointing that out so you know where you can find all of the information about the national indoor tournament as we come into each of the 3 weekends. Many of you on tonight might have an athlete in one or more of the events. You might have siblings and things like that that are attending. So just to point that out. Okay, first thing we're going to start with is how we are going to do symptom monitoring throughout the event. Okay, so each morning, you are going to receive a text message for you if you're the spectator, all right, if you're the parent and the spectator of an athlete and your athlete. And you will go through that symptom tracking, and it's very, very important that you answer all the questions honestly. You will be required to put a temperature in there. So you will need to have a thermometer with you on site. Forehead thermometers are all over the place now, very easy and reasonably priced. And so you will need to be taking your temperature, both yours as the spectator and the athlete that you're with, temperature, and you will be able to do that into a family account. I'm going to share my screen again, and I'm going to share a document that we will be sending out to your club admins with instructions on how to set this up. So currently, we have sent to all of our, excuse me, just 1 minute, and let me get the screen share up again. Okay. Currently, we have sent to all of the club admin and coaches a template, which they will be filling out. Okay, and that will have every athlete's name in it with a parent email and phone number, email address and phone number. Okay. we will be forwarding that information into injury-free reporting, okay, who will be sending an email to you as the parent to set up the account, okay? It's a very simple process. It looks like a lot of slides here, but very, very simple process. You'll get this, you'll get the email. When you click on the link in the email, it'll start to send you through this process, okay? And they give you a few little instructions. You click on the sign up. It then gives you a notice about what you're doing. You go next, and then you get started by verifying your phone number, okay? And you'll put your phone number in, and then the next slide will ask you to create an account. This will be for you first. You'll create as the parent, okay, your account number, and the primary email, gives you a password. All right, there's no referral code at this point in time, so you won't be given a referral code. At least I do not think so. Injury-Free is working on some API transfers and things like that, but at this point in time, we are not using a referral code. If you are, it will be part of the email that you get, okay, so you would know what to do. Injury-Free reporting is partnering with MDBox to do the symptom monitoring, okay? So you're just going to agree to the terms of service, and you'll submit that, and you'll have created the account. Now you're going to enroll your family members. So if both parents are traveling with the athlete and you're going to share that one band that you're given to watch, then you'll need to create an account for both parents and all athletes that are traveling with you, okay? So this particular sample has, an athlete and a parent with them, and you can see that you can add additional family members to that account. So it'll be one account for your whole family that you will create, all right? You'll go next. Now you're going to create the sub-account. That's going to be the athlete's name or the dependent's name, okay? You'll basically go through the same steps in creating that account, agreeing to all the terms and conditions, and you'll submit. And then you'll say you've successfully signed up for the MDBox COVID-19 symptom monitoring, and you're finished with that process, okay? This is what's going to happen on each day of the event. And we're actually going to ask them to start sending this out to you probably 2 to 3 days before the first playing day, just so you're familiar with it. And you can work through it and you can understand how to use it, making sure that everything's working, just a way to sort of get you in the habit of knowing that it's coming, okay? You'll receive this text every morning. We're going to set that to come at about 6 a.m. So as soon as you wake up in the morning, you'll have this text to remind you to go in and check your symptoms. You'll click on this link and you'll get to this part, right? The purpose of this monitoring tool, again, it's just reminding you what you're doing. You say, I understand. You hit next. And then it's going to be an overview. Today, you will be inputting symptoms for who? The following accounts. Okay, I only have myself in here. This happens to be my account that I'm screenshotting, okay? So I just have Lisa McCoy. If you've put yourself and, maybe you have 2 daughters that are playing, then they'll both be in here and you'll have a family account and you'll see everybody listed right here that you're going to be doing symptoms for, okay? Click on the first person, go through, monitor your symptoms. It's a very extensive list of symptoms, okay? Symptoms are very, very important, probably more so than just a fever, all right? Many of our asymptomatic and low symptomatic people have never presented with fevers, right? But they may have had a cough, they may have had a headache, and they might have had some sneezing, right? So, some of those multiple symptoms that are happening are what we want to track and what we want to know what's going on, okay? So there's an extensive list of symptoms, all right? Goes on to 2 pages, actually. Actually, I think on the actual thing, you just scroll down the whole way. I had to screenshot it twice to be able to see them all. You'll mark all your symptoms down and you'll hit next. This is a very intuitive app, okay? If you have a couple of symptoms up here and they don't match to you're still going to be cleared to play, okay? So please do not go in here and think, I'm not going to do this. I'm just going to send it through and say, you know, everybody's fine. This is very, very important that you do your symptoms the way you're feeling, okay? You'll hit next, and it'll take you to contacts. Have you been exposed to someone who is suspected to have or has been tested for, okay? It's a yes/no question. Have you been exposed to someone who has been diagnosed with coronavirus? Yes or no question, okay? And you'll hit next. Once you answer the question, this will become highlighted and you'll hit next. And then you will be asked to put your temperature in, okay? As I stated, you'll need to put that temperature in here. You will not be able to move forward. You will not be cleared to participate without putting your temperature in, okay? You'll go next, and then you will get this, cleared for athletic participation, okay? If for some reason something up in those symptoms, if you've been exposed or something like that, and you get not cleared for athletic participation, okay, you will be given some instructions down here in the recommendations, and we will be asking you to then contact your coach, but you should not show up to the facility, okay? So if you get a not cleared for participation, then you need to contact your coach. The club coach or admin will be contacting us, and we have all of this information on a dashboard. So we know if you filled this out and if you haven't filled it out. Your club coach or admin will also have a dashboard just to see the team that they're coaching to make sure, and they won't get any information other than yes, they've done it or no, they haven't done it, okay? So that they can remind you if, you know, you've maybe forgotten in the morning to do that, okay? That's all they will see is, hey, it's completed or no, it's not completed. The symptom check is completed or it's not completed, okay? They will get no other information other than that. We won't get any other information other than you've been cleared to participate, or if somebody has not been cleared to participate, or if you haven't completed the symptom checking, okay? It's a very, very simple process to set up. I've done it. Obviously, I had it all set up prior to festival, and then we were unable to cancel it. So every single day, I've been checking, doing my, you know, my symptom check, just to get into the habit of doing it. And also just to continue to test the system out, okay? Let me just get back in here and see if there's any questions. Okay, so some good questions here, and we'll go back. So let me say, the first thing, what was the website I was pointing out? I was actually pointing out at www.usafieldhockey.com, our events page, where you can go and find all information about the National Indoor Tournament. We will try to post that in the chat so you can see exactly that link. So if Casey, if you want to just pull up the events page there and put that actual link directly to the website event page in the chat, we'll get that into the chat, okay? All right. So you will start out with an emailed link. So you'll get an email from Injury Free Reporting saying you're receiving this email because you've been reported that you're participating in this event, and now you need to set up your account. And then there will be a link in the email address to start the process to open up and create your account, okay? I have some athletes going to the NIT without parents. For these parents, should the Injury Free account just be set up under the kids' info? Yes. If there is an adult that is watching them or kind of overseeing them, it could be sent to them, but ultimately it will be sent to the athlete. They would need to do that every morning, and then we'll just need to remind them to get it done, and their club admin, as I mentioned, will also have a small dashboard that they can log into to see if all of their athletes have completed it. So if that is the case, then once you may still get the email link to set it up, but you would then set up the account with your athlete's email address and phone number so that they receive the text on their phone and are reminded every morning to do the symptom monitoring. Okay. Can we opt out of them retrieving the medical history? That isn't required. I am not sure what you're asking me there. So whomever asked that question, if you could give me a little bit more clarity, I will certainly be happy to answer that question. Yes, the time frame would be in the last 14 days. That would be the time frame we would want to be using. I would say if you are chaperoning another athlete, it would probably be good to include them in your account or to speak with that parent and see how you want to do it. You could also have them do it under their name and their own account, but you would just know that you would need to remind them to do it, okay? Yes, I think we already answered that question. Okay, past 14 days. This program that we're using is fully HIPAA compliant. So this is a risk management program, injury-free reporting, MD box, a medical program. So it is fully HIPAA compliant program. And there's nobody seeing anything the way you answer the questions. We simply find out if you are cleared or not cleared, okay, to play. So I do not see how you answer the questions. Nobody sees how you answer the questions. And there will only be myself and one other person at the Nook that can see it and a person at the Richmond site that can see who is cleared and not cleared. So, and again, we see no information of how you answer the questions. All we get is cleared or not cleared or didn't complete the questions today. Okay, so I want to be very clear about that. We see no information about how you answered the questions. All we see is cleared or not cleared or didn't answer the questions yet, okay? Okay, lots of questions here. I think we've hit most of the ones that refer to the injury-free reporting. We will also put, Casey, can you put my email address into the chat? If you have some specific questions after tonight's call, and you don't get them fully answered, please feel free to email me that question so that I can answer a more specific question to you directly. I have no problem with that. This is the first time we've ever tried to do this, and we're hoping that it works out and just gets, information into you guys' hands, and also then could just open up that dialogue if we have more questions that we need to answer. Okay. All right. I'm going to move on to the PA testing requirements, and I will try to go through this, and then we will go back through the test. I may answer some of the questions in here already, just with my initial information. Okay. Currently, USA Field Hockey is operating an event in Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania has a testing mandate for those coming into the state, okay? This testing mandate is not related to trying to prove that everybody that walks in the building is negative or positive, okay? It is simply a mandate that we are following, that the Pennsylvania government is requiring. Okay, so I've had a lot of questions coming in. Well, why don't Pennsylvania people need to be tested? Why don't, I'm being very honest. I think we all know that when you're getting a test, it's negative. If it's negative in the moment you were in the doctor's office and they swabbed your nose. Okay, you could have walked out of the doctor's office and been exposed by going to the grocery store or stopping at the gas station or whatever. And that 72-hour period of time, that negative test may not really represent where you're at when you show up at the facility, okay? We are following a mandate because that's what Pennsylvania's Department of Health and government is insisting happens when somebody comes into the state of Pennsylvania, okay? This will be done. We are not collecting negative tests, okay? We are not having everybody show up and have to show me a negative test. This will be done by an attestation form filled out and certified by your club admin or coach, whoever checks in your team, okay? They will be provided with an attestation form, and they will have connected with you all to say, have you complied with the rules, okay, with the mandate? And then they will sign off by an attestation form saying that my club is compliant, all right? So you will need to speak with your club admin or your coach as to how they're going to have you attest to the negative test, okay? So I just want to be really clear about that, okay? That test, that mandate only requires it for those athletes ages 12 and up. So if you're coming to the U10, U12 weekend and your athlete is 11 or under, there is no requirement to be tested for the athlete. The adult, the spectator coming, is still required to be tested, okay? And the club admin or coach who signs the attestation form will be doing that for their coaches, the athletes, and the spectators attending with their club, okay? So they will certify that for everybody coming or attending the event with that club, okay? So that's how we will collect that information, okay? It'll be basically be certified by an attestation form, all right? I see some questions. Virginia does not have a mandate for testing. So currently, those of you that are going to the state of Virginia for the U19 event, at this moment in time, right here while we're having this call, there is no mandate. If something would change between now and the end of February, then of course we would need to comply with that. But currently, they do not have that mandate, okay? I'm going to start to go down a few of the questions. What do I do if I cannot get a rapid COVID test since I'm not showing symptoms? I get it. That's a very difficult thing. I'm not sure what state you're in. I know we have that issue in the state of Pennsylvania. What I have found in the state of Pennsylvania is that there are actually some testing centers that are very distinctly just for travel. They won't test you if you have symptoms. They're only testing for travel only, okay? So I would definitely look to see if there's a way to get that done. If you can find somebody that's testing for travel only, that would be the best place to check at that point in time, okay? With game times as early as 7 a.m. with warm-ups, will 6 a.m. be early enough? Okay, first of all, there will probably be very limited warm-ups allowed, all right? We have a lot to get done, and we are not going to allow anybody in the facility prior to 6 a.m. on the mornings, and then we are going to need to have every athlete proceed to the staging area where we can confirm that everybody has filled out the symptom monitoring application, and then we will allow people onto the court. And my guess is that won't be any sooner than 30 minutes prior to the start of the game, okay? And depending on how long the process takes us, you might be getting on the court 10 or 15 minutes before the start of the game, okay? If you are fully vaccinated, do you need a COVID test? Yes, you still need a COVID test. The mandate is not written for vaccination. Vaccination does not mean that you can't have still contract the coronavirus, okay? All it means is that hopefully you won't. But there's no mandate in Pennsylvania's rules that say if you're vaccinated, you can present that, okay? Will there be any events occurring at Spooky Nook at the same time? Yes. Spooky Nook Sports will have other events going on at the same time. We cannot dictate what those other events do. We have no ability to dictate how those events are run. We can only dictate what we're doing. What I can tell you is that we are the only event on our side of the building, in the field house side of the building, okay? Those other events will not be using injury-free. Spooky Nook Sports does require a temperature check coming in the door. So in addition to our symptom monitoring, when you come through the front door, Spooky Nook Sports will do a temperature check, but they are not using injure-free, and we have no ability to dictate what Spooky Nook Sports does with their other events that are coming in, okay? Okay, this is another one around the symptom tracking. If a family has both U16 and U19 athletes, will the U19 athlete get questioned about the health during the U16 weekend? You know, because you just won't fill it out for them that weekend. They'll be in your family account, but you will not fill it out for them. You just click on the people that need to be checked for that weekend, okay? I think I already answered. There's no negative test required for PA residents. I think I answered that clearly, so we can dismiss that one. I'm sorry, when I say dismiss, I'm just telling Casey to clear it off our list so we can move on to the next one. I didn't mean that dismiss it as in it wasn't important. Sorry. Yes, the reminders may start a few days before the event. Yes, you need to do it on those days before the event. So we're asking you to start doing your symptom monitoring checks those couple of days before the event. So as soon as you start seeing the text come through, we're asking you to do that. This will help you to get used to the application and see how that flows. It will also help us to start seeing that there is no issues with it coming into the account, and that we can just check everything on our end to make sure that everybody's gotten an email, you know, and that we can just make sure our rosters are up to date. So this is helping us too on our end, just to make sure that everything is copacetic and going smoothly. Okay. All right. I think we might have a few people that are jumping on late. Do athletes still need to have a negative COVID test prior to the end? If you are coming from outside the state of Pennsylvania and coming into an event that's being held at Spooky Nook Sports, that is correct, okay? You can update your daily questions at any time after you receive the app. I don't need it to be within hours of that. Certainly, if you want to wait till closer to the game time, that is fine, but we're not requiring you to only do it within a certain period of time prior to the game, okay? The time frame for exposure is 14 days. If you're not getting a test result back in time, we're gonna have to handle those on a case-by-case basis, all right? So that's going to have to be stated to your club admin. You'll have to go to your club admin who's handling it on your end, and that club admin will have to come to me, and we'll have to handle that on a case-by-case basis, okay? We will be in constant contact with the coach who is responsible for that team, okay? So ultimately, we are asking for their help to make sure that they are checking to make sure their athletes are communicating it and filling it out. We will also probably be texting them and saying, hey, you have 3 or 4 athletes that haven't done it. Please, you know, ask them to get this done. So we will be enlisting the help of the coach to make sure that this is completed. I can't stress this enough. If you do not complete the symptom checking each day, you will not be cleared to play. You will not be allowed on the court until the symptom checking is done. So I want to make that extremely clear to everybody, okay? So if you don't complete it, you're not cleared to play. All right? So just be sure that you get the information, you get it filled out. We have asked all of our club coaches currently, we sent the information out to them yesterday. We have asked them to send us back rosters. Many of them will be sending us U14s only to start with. So we'll probably get our U14 athlete information out first because we recognize that there's still some changing of rosters for our U16s, U19, U10, U12 weekends, you know, just with different things that are happening from exposures and things like that. So Just want everybody to know, to know that. Okay. Okay. I think we've got most of the questions. Let me just scroll down here. So just give me 1 minute to review. Okay, my daughter was recently COVID positive and completed her quarantine. What if her test still shows positive? Absolutely. Okay, if you're in that situation, if you're in that sort of 90-day period of time, what you need to do and tell your club admin is that you need to show when the positive test was and that they are outside the 10-day isolation period. Okay, and then you will not be getting a test. You need to show the date of positive, that they're outside the isolation period, which is 10 days, and no symptoms, right? They have to be symptom free at that point in time, and then the test would not need to be taken at that point in time. Okay, and we actually have gotten some clarification on that, and they're kind of following the rules that would be if you had to get on a flight and you were, you couldn't get a negative test. So they're kind of following those rules in the state of Pennsylvania. As long as you can show that you're outside the isolation period, you're okay. All right. All right. Okay, yes. Vaccinations do not, there's nothing in the mandate about being vaccinated. You're still required to get tested if you've been vaccinated. Okay, at this point in time, I am not aware of any reciprocation that New Jersey residents are permitted to travel to and from PA, except for work-related purposes. So if there's something else about that, I'll need to check that, but I'm not seeing that in the actual documentation. Again, this is only for out of PA residents because that's what Pennsylvania's mandate includes, okay? Okay. Okay, I'm going to, at this point in time, there is no, USA Field Hockey has no intention to cancel the event unless the Pennsylvania governor shuts down the state in some way that we cannot use the facility. But there is no intention based on positivity rate in the area. Actually, the numbers are coming down in Pennsylvania right now. So there's no intention to drop that unless there would be some, again, mandate coming out of the state that would not allow us to use the facility, okay? Okay, I am now going to move into sort of the guidelines for the Spooky Nook Sports venue, and then we'll move on to Richmond, all right? Many of you that have been to Spooky Nook Sports knows that it takes a little bit of time to get into the parking lot, get yourselves parked, and to the door. We are asking people to not arrive any sooner to the facility than 1 hour prior to your first game. Now, when I say 1 hour prior, I'm meaning coming into the gate, coming into the door, getting to the facility. So please back your time up to account for getting off the highway, getting into the parking lot, getting yourselves to the front door. I did state already that they will be doing a temperature check. We originally had wanted to have our tournament start at 8 a.m. We did back that up to 7 a.m. to allow for less congestion coming into the facility at the front door. Yes, there will be shared entrances, okay? And I know that somebody has mentioned here that they don't necessarily, people skip past the temperature check. Our group will be temperature checked, okay? You're going to temperature check yourself on the injury-free monitoring system, okay? So if you have a temperature or anybody in your club has a temperature, they should not be showing up to the facility at all. There will not be, based off of the application, and the way they answer the questions, they most likely will not be cleared to play, okay? So our USA Field Hockey group will be temperature checked coming into the building, okay? So, but allow yourself that amount of time, because it does take time to get into the parking lot. You know, it can be full coming into the driveway and things like that. So please allow yourself time to get to the door. We feel that we can get people through the bag check and their temperature check and through the turnstiles. We will have signs posted there. I'm going to put the map up now, just so you may have seen this in the guide, but we'll put the map up for everybody to kind of see. All right. So let me share the screen again. All right. And ultimately, what will happen if you're coming in the front door, if you are playing on courts 5 through 9 on this side of the facility, you are going to come in, you're going to turn left, go past the hotel lobby and into the back area, and we'll have dots on the floor that you'll be signing up, court 9A, court 9B, right? And you'll have areas here that you're going to stage in this area. You'll meet your teams there, and then you will be greeted by one of our staff who will just do a last-minute check, make sure everybody has done their temperature check or their symptom monitoring, okay? And essentially, we will then clear you to walk down to the court that you will be on. This will be a very, very systematic process, okay? If there's any club coaches or admins on tonight, this will be a no-run zone, okay? This will be a walking to get to your court. We will keep this path as open as we can and try to let teams go systematically to their courts, okay? So you will come in and go to the staging area if your court's 5 through 9 that way. If you're coming in the front door and you're going to your courts 1 through 4, you'll be coming in this way through the hallway that they call College Row, and you'll be staging in this area, okay? And then again, you'll be greeted with our staff to just give you that last minute okay, and we will dismiss you to go on to the courts, all right? Parents, you will come in, spectators, those that are attending with you, you will come in, you will follow the green arrows, you will come up this staircase. This staircase for this event this year will be an up only, one direction, up to the mezzanine. You will come over, and we're going to come over to this map. You're going to, if you're on courts 1 through 4 and you're a spectator, you're going to come to your staging area, okay? You're not going to get to just wander around and watch other games. You come to your staging area, and you'll stand and wait until it's time for us to get you to your courts. If you're 5 through 9, you'll walk across the mezzanine and stage in that area over by the back hallway, okay? Or excuse me, the back staircase. We are allowing the schedule. If you've seen the schedule on the U14 weekend, you've probably recognized that your team is going to be playing back-to-back games, okay? You will come in, we will play game 1. We will allow 10 minutes for a court change for all teams to change their courts. We will start again, and we will then allow 20 minutes. At the end of that, we will clear everybody out, okay? We'll follow the exit, we'll get everybody out, and we'll allow the next teams to come in. We will do the exact same thing for the mezzanine up here, and the viewing areas will be separated from Vendor Village on the side, you know, where Vendor Village is and the USA Field Hockey booth is, okay? So there will be a very designated spectator area up here, and there will be an area for you to be able to get into Vendor Village, okay? This will not be the opportunity where you'll be able to just mill around and go watch somebody else's game, okay? It will be very strictly adhered to 20, no more than 25 spectators per court. As is, that's going to be pretty crowded around a court to watch that play, okay? There's lots of directions on this map. If you come in C11, you'll come down past the baseball field and down this hallway, again into College Row, and then to your staging areas, either up the stairs if you're a spectator or to your court staging area if you're an athlete. Down stairways are here, the purple here, and if you recall, it's a little harder to see on this map, but it's the down stairwell over here that comes down by the main concession stand, okay? So if you're up in the mezzanine, you'll come down the little ramp, and you'll come across the upper hallway here, and you'll come down into the facility there, all right? And that's how you will exit the upper mezzanine. All right, so we're going to keep traffic patterns flowing so that we don't have people, large crowds passing in staircases. All right. Let me get back here so I can see some questions that are popping up. Okay. All right. I think I answered that. We will have shared entrances with other event attendees. Yes, there's no way we can avoid that. The Nook only has the C11 entrance and the front entrance. Okay. I think I just answered that whole question. How will we enforce the guidelines? You know, that's a group effort. I'm giving you guys, everybody right now, what has to happen, right? So that means you all have to be on board and you all have to help us, right? And we will be around. We will be asking people to keep their masks up. We will be, you know, reminding people of something. But you know what? I don't really want to have to do that. Okay, we're setting guidelines in place to keep everybody as safe as possible. We all know what we're sitting in this pandemic. So if we want the opportunity to play, then I'm asking for all of you to support the safety guidelines we have in place so that we don't have to enforce them. Okay, but we will be, you know, we will be around reminding people. And if we have to ask somebody to leave the facility because they're not wearing their face mask or, you know, their face covering, then we will do that. All right, it's very, very important that we follow the guidelines. Correct, there is no test needed to travel from Pennsylvania to the tournament in Virginia. Okay. Yes, if you're coming in from out of state and you're a spectator, the mandate is for everybody. It's not just for athletes. If you're a spectator, you do need to have a negative test if you're coming from outside the state of Pennsylvania. Yes, so I am, that's a very, very good question. Can players bring in their bags and where do they leave it while they are playing? Everything they bring in needs to be carried with them from place to place, okay? There will be no ability to leave your bag in the staging area. So whatever you bring with you here, it's got to make it on the court. As you can see, we are operating on 9 courts. They are full size. They're the same size they are when we played with 8 before, but that just means there's less space between them. So there's not a lot of space here. So pack lightly, okay? But there's no ability, there's no camping allowed. You will not be setting up your team someplace on a mezzanine and camping out. Whatever you bring with you needs to be carried with you throughout the 2 games. You'll come into the staging area, you'll carry it with you to the court, and you'll carry it out when you leave, okay? So nothing will be left in the staging area. So that's a very, very good question, all right? So please pack accordingly to do that, all right? Great. Okay. Yeah, any FDA approved test is fine. It has to be FDA approved. It can be rapid PCR. It just has to be an FDA approved test, okay? Yeah, depending on how quickly your PCR tests are coming back, that is so random through all different states. Probably yes, with the PCR, you're going to get it at the very beginning of that 72 hours, okay? So yes. You will not have the ability to travel with your younger siblings. There is 1 spectator per rostered athlete. So there is not the ability for siblings to attend. It is 1 spectator for rostered athlete. Okay, so I want to make that very clear too. There will be 1 band given to your team coach at check-in for the rostered athletes, and that is it. So there will not be the ability to get additional bands. Okay. Yeah, very good question. Symptom tracker has multiple symptoms. Will one trigger an athlete? And no, and I think I said at the beginning of this call, I've been testing that. I've had multiple different scenarios I've put into the tracker. So, you know, it depends on what symptom that is. If you say I've lost my sense of taste and smell, as many of you probably know, that seems to be a huge red flag that that person typically is positive. So they are very, very good at recognizing what symptoms are potentially more COVID specific than, say, a runny nose, which could be the common cold. Okay. And if it's the only symptom on there, no, you are not going to be turned away. Okay. Okay, I think we answered that. Yeah, if an athlete begins to feel ill while attending the NITs, again, there's contact tracing and things that need to be done at that point in time. So that's hard for me to answer that question, because ultimately we have to know them, are they positive, things like that. So there's a contact tracing portion that has to happen at that point in time. So it's kind of hard for me to just give an answer to that question without specifics, but we will be following that, and we will, we will do the best we can to make the best decision based off of what is presented to us. Okay. There's only one elevator. Well, yeah, you'll use the elevator over by that back hallway. There's only that one in College Row, so you will use that elevator. Okay. There is no live streaming for U10, U12, I do not believe. Katie Tornes, can you give me a quick answer on that one?
That is correct, Lisa, not U10, U12.
Right. And there will only be one court live streamed for U16 at this point in time. They are allowing the bleachers to be opened. We will have them marked very clearly. And no, well, typically we don't allow chairs. I mean, yes, we have some chairs there, but ultimately we have small spaces. So we're asking for people to stand for their games the best we can. Okay. This is a state of play hotel. So, excuse me, it's a state of play event. So hotel reservations do need to be made through the link. Okay. Obviously, we reviewed all of this information about the website. That you will get an email to set up your injure free for the symptoms. It is not posted on the USA Field Hockey website. You will receive an email from Injure Free Reporting. Your club coach is submitting the athlete's name, the team they're on, and the parent email and phone number and name, and then you will receive an email as soon as we get that all uploaded into the event. We're hoping that starts to come out to the end of this week. It'll definitely be coming out by the beginning of next week. Okay. Yeah, it's going to be hard for us to really mark 6 feet of spacing. I think everybody pretty much knows what 6 feet is, so we're just asking everybody to do the best they can to socially distance. We probably will not have 6 feet markings all over the floor. Some of that we can't, put down just due to some of the limitations there. Okay, I believe I saw some questions earlier about masking all athletes. The current mandate in Pennsylvania and the current mandate in Pennsylvania is that you need to wear a mask when you're playing. So if there is a medical condition that needs to be presented at team check-in so that we know. I believe I saw somebody mention over there, no, I am not going to allow a whole team to have a medical condition. To me, that's pretty unlikely that a whole team would have a doctor's excuse saying that they all have a medical exemption from playing. So if there's a true medical exemption, I will honor that, but we're not going to use loopholes to keep kids from wearing masks for playing. The mandate is that they need to wear them. If they haven't been wearing them, I would suggest that maybe in your practice tournaments and things coming up over the next weekend that you maybe have them play with them on so that they are used to that, okay? If you want to see the vendors, we are asking you to do that after your game is completed, as you begin to exit, the courts, and then you can see vendors as you make your way out of the building at that point in time. We're not suggesting that you have to leave the building at any particular time. So if you do want to get something to eat at the concession stand. Will be open at the Nook, and then you can, wait in. We will have a queue line to get into the vendor village. We will be limiting that from a size perspective of who's up in that mezzanine area, and we'll just be monitoring the number of people in and out of there, from that point in time. But ultimately, we want athletes to come in and get to their queue area. Parents, if you come in and you're an hour ahead of time and you want to visit the vendors prior to coming into your staging area, right? That's fine. Totally fine with that. But athletes, we do want them to get to their courts. We think their coaches will probably want them to get to their court staging areas also, so that we can make sure everybody's cleared and ready to go when we clear the courts. Okay. All right. Do players and goalies have time to get ready before the game? If you're there an hour ahead of time, again, you're going to need to judge that. Okay. If you think it's best to have, your shin guards and things on walking into the facility, again, you're going to have to judge that. It depends on how quickly things go through the front door, how quickly you get there. There is going to be 20 minutes between game times when we clear the courts and we get the next group on. So if we can do this smoothly and efficiently, and everybody has their testing done, their COVID symptom tracking done, right, then we can absolutely get teams onto the court as soon as possible. That should allow some time, on the court even to possibly warm up a little bit, okay? But everybody has to sort of help us out here. Teams need to clear the benches and clear the area quickly so that we can get the next groups on, okay? So if we all work together and we all, think of the next team coming on, then absolutely we should be able to do that. There will not be allowed to have team meetings on the court, all right? You will clear your bench and team area. You'll pick up all your water bottles, all right? There will be no trash left. You will clear your area and you'll get off the court. And then if a coach wants to meet with their team, it'll be done off the court area here, in a location that you can safely get away from others to do that, all right? If that's the case and we can do this quickly and efficiently, then there'll absolutely be some time, I believe, for the team to sort of, prepare themselves prior to the start of the game, all right? There will be only 10 minutes between game 1 and game 2. Again, just enough time to change courts and sort of get resituated on the new court before you play your second game, all right? All right, that's done. Thank you for your patience as I read through all of the questions. This is awesome, though. I'm so glad that people are putting questions in. I think we did that one already. At this point in time, no, Virginia does not have a 10-day quarantine for persons entering the state, not unless something changed just today that I don't know about yet. Okay, in that hotel, anti-congregation issues are your issues, all right? It's your athlete, it's your team, it's your hotel room, it's your group, okay? I can't mandate anti-congregation issues in a hotel, all right? If you're in a hotel, you have every right to keep your child in your room with you and not allow congregation. That is totally the club's choice and your choice as a parent with those athletes, okay? But I can't mandate that as USA Field Hockey. I have no ability to mandate that, all right? So, you absolutely have the right to decide if your athlete is going to be out milling around the hotel or staying in your room with you, all right? But USA Field Hockey has no ability to mandate that in a hotel. All right. There will be trainers on site. And medical personnel, yes, OAL is right there, and we have a trainers group at Richmond also. So absolutely, the trainer situation is pretty much the same that our events always have, okay? Yeah, what if you had a family member that was positive and completed the 10-day quarantine a week prior to the tournament? Whoever is sending that to me, you're probably going to need to reach out to me directly because that could pose a problem. Because depending on what your exposure date is, you you are not going to be out of your time. If you get a negative test within 7 days of exposure, then we could be okay. But feel free to reach out to me directly so we can talk about that a little bit more. Spooky Nook is not changing their parking fees for us. So there will be parking fees, and I'm assuming that it's the same as it always is. Yeah, if they come back into Pennsylvania, and again, I can't change what some of your schools are doing. This happens to be that has to be a personal decision. If you decide to go to Virginia, you know what Pennsylvania's rules are. I can't change what their quarantine policies are and what your schools are saying, okay? We recognize that everybody has some different barriers to this, but ultimately some of those I just don't have control over. The New Jersey clubs have to make their decision based off of what they're doing over the New Jersey mandate. Okay, again, I can't dictate whether New Jersey comes or doesn't come. They're covered under insurance, and so ultimately they have to make a decision whether they're willing to go against that mandate. Look, again, are the arcade and climbing walls to be open at Spooky Nook Sport? Yes, I'm assuming that those will be open. I have not heard otherwise. I, again, cannot mandate that field hockey athletes can't go climbing on rock walls or go to the arcade. You know, that is a personal decision, and you know, you with your club and your club coach may have some rules that you put out with your athletes, but again, I cannot mandate to people that they don't climb on the rock wall or do whatever. I'm asking people to think and be cautious about those types of things. But again, I really can't, or we as USA Field Hockey really can't mandate that you can't do those things, okay? Yeah, we have a contract with Touchline, so spectators and admins, you can't live stream the games. That's not allowed. We have a contract with Touchline Video. So those cannot be live streamed. Yeah, gaiters are not allowed for face coverings. Obviously, we know that many of those have been proven to not be as safe as a normal double cloth face mask would be. So. Yeah. I have never seen anything specific to PA goalies not being required to wear masks underneath their helmets. It's a masking rule. If there's a medical reason, then they can present a thing at it. But goalkeepers are not specifically listed in any mandate in Pennsylvania that I'm aware of. Okay, colleges will have access to the video through Touchline. We'll upload that into Coach Packet, and they will have that available to them free of charge. And it will get uploaded as quickly as possible, that they will have access to it. So college coaches will have access to it. The referees will not make sure masks are being worn. It's not the referee's decision, it's the club coaches. All right, all the club coaches need to be sure. The coaches need to be sure that they are wearing their masks while playing. That's a coach and club admin decision. The referees are not there to police masks. Okay. Yeah, and no, masks with exhaust valves are not meant to be worn either. So all of those things, when you wear a mask with an exhaust valve, you're essentially defeating the purpose of wearing a mask. You're allowing your germs to go out through the exhaust valve. So no, it should be a cloth mask or, you know, like a surgical mask, but, you know, the cloth mask is fine. Yeah, there's one spectator per court, so no, there won't be the allowance of additional spectators watching games. Okay. All right, I do want to be sure I just hit everything around the Spooky Nook portion of this before we move on to the Richmond portion. There's been some changes with Richmond, and we need to be clear about that, okay? Okay. Again, no, you do not need testing prior to the arrival in Richmond unless something changes with Richmond's or Virginia's state mandate. Currently, today, as of this date, there's not a state mandate that says you need to be tested, so therefore you won't be doing that, okay? Okay, whoever is talking about the PA safety guidance with goalkeepers, call me directly. At this point in time, USA Field Hockey is mandating that all athletes wear a mask, okay? So if you need to contact me directly, please do so. But at this point in time, all athletes need to wear a mask. Okay. Let's move on to Richmond a little bit, just talk about it. We have in the last few days, and even since we had our last club admin call, had some updates to what the Greater Richmond Convention Center is going to require of us, all right? I did update the guidebook as of yesterday afternoon to try to put, or actually I believe some of it got in last week, and then we made some additional changes yesterday afternoon. And ultimately, they're requiring some very strict spectator guidelines and queuing guidelines as far as where we hold the athletes and where they wait to get into the facility. Okay, so I'm going to bring up the other map for Richmond, so just give me a second. We need to make some additional adjustments on this map, so this will get a little clearer as we're able to get some finalized information with Richmond. But ultimately in Richmond, we have now decided to add a 9th court in Richmond, okay? So if you saw the original map was only showing 8 courts, but now due to some of the spectator guidelines and updates, we have added a 9th court in Richmond, and this will allow us to do a very similar schedule that we're doing up at the Spooky Nook Sports Complex, which is to run 3 full pools of teams playing back-to-back games. That'll reduce the amount of time we need to hold people in queues out in the hallway, and possibly even at the Richmond area, people actually standing outside, okay? So ultimately, in Richmond, it is very, very strict. We can only have 25 spectators around each court. Athletes are not counted as spectators as long as they are playing. Unfortunately, we had wanted to allow the next set of athletes into the building and queue inside the building here, like we were similarly doing with a staging area at Spooky Nook Sports. We are not allowed to do that. So all athletes need to stand in the hallway. And again, we're going to make this picture a little clearer because you're only sort of seeing the hall here. All athletes will need to queue 6 feet apart in this hallway, okay? We're looking at additional opportunities to try to get as many people in this hallway and in this queue lines as we can. That means we can't have any spectators in this building, in this hallway, until we clear all the courts and all the spectators out, and we allow the next set of athletes in. So spectators in Richmond will only be allowed to enter the full building and not before 5 minutes before the start of the game, okay? So, and then once we get all of the athletes into and to their courts, we will be allowed to begin to let spectators in and into the building, in through the queue line, and into the respective fields, okay? We're talking about the possibility of opening all these entrances when the time is right so that you can get directly to your court. We're talking through several scenarios, and we'll have to update things as we get some answers on that, okay? But just know there's going to be a very, very distinct timings in Richmond to make this all happen. And that means that any spectator that is coming will not be able to enter the building until we get all of the next set of athletes in and to their courts, okay? ultimately, again, all spectators will be given a wristband at both facilities, okay, and you will need to show that wristband to get into the court, okay? I've said this a couple of times and I can't emphasize this enough. That is one spectator per rostered athlete, okay? If you're coming with a club team and there's 3 or 4 teams in the U19 attending, that doesn't mean if your team's not playing, you as a parent can give your band to another parent on another team so both that athlete's parents can attend. That's not what this is set up for, okay? It's set up for the possibility if both parents want to come, for one to come one day and one to come to another day. But it'll be very strictly adhered to 25 spectators per court, okay? So we have a very, very strict number here, and the Richmond Convention Center is going to be very, very strict on us about how many people are let in this door, okay? So you will have a wristband, you will be given, you will need to show that wristband, and there will only be allowed one rostered spectator or one spectator per rostered athlete on a team, okay? That's all the bands that will be given to your club coach when they check in, all right? So this is, this is, again, changed a little bit for us, and we're trying to work through this. We didn't want to limit spectators anymore. So again, we're asking for your assistance to really abide by the rules that we're setting up so that we can make things go smoothly and help the athletes get on the courts and play. All right. We are looking at trying to live stream in Richmond because this spectator limitation will not allow us to have any coaches watch here personally, even though D1 coaches at this point in time are in a dead zone, so they cannot come. We do still have some D2 and D3 coaches that would possibly want to attend, but because of the spectator limitations, if we allowed coaches in to watch, we would not be allowed to, we would have to reduce the number of spectators, of parent spectators that, came in to watch. So we are looking at the possibility of live streaming the U19 event, okay? Temp checks. Richmond is not requiring us to do a temp check coming in the building, so we will be using the symptom monitoring system there, just like we will be at the Nook, all right? Everybody will do a temperature check because you're going to be required to put that into the monitoring. Again, that will be every coach, every athlete, and every spectator attending. Okay, you will all need to do that, all right? Yeah, so there will not be a temperature check there, so we don't have to worry about that as far as 5 minutes attending. 5 minutes attending could still be an issue, Okay, again, whoever is putting the post up about the CDC and the mask under the helmet, you need to contact me directly, okay? I appreciate that. That's the 3rd time you posted it up, and just call me directly and we can handle it that way, okay? We have contracts with all of our venues, so there was not an option. I've seen posts about this on Facebook. Why are we going to Spooky Nook Sports? Why are we going here? Why are we going there? We have contracts set up with these venues years in advance. We don't really have an option to not go where those contracts are set up, okay? Temperature for fever is 100.4. That's the guidelines we're using. Game times are being shortened slightly, so the game times will be 17-minute halves with a 1-minute halftime. Again, that allows us to get things done before midnight and still allow for the amount of time we're going to need between games to clear courts, clear spectators, and those types of things. Yeah. Certainly, you can leave the meeting whenever you feel like you've heard the information that you need. Absolutely. We will be talking about a few things from a vendor perspective at the end, but we don't need to, you don't need to stay on if you don't want to. Okay, again, just a couple of things around the tournament specific. Again, I did say it'll be 34-minute games, 2 by 17-minute halves with a 1-minute halftime. Right now, we're looking at most likely that schedule being 10 minutes between the first game, right? You'll play back-to-back games and then 20 minutes to clear. That might be 15 minutes in Richmond. We're still working through that with the new guidelines down there to just to get the best timing there. But that'll be kind of where we're at. I did mention that all baggage that comes with athletes into the building will have to stay with them at all times. There will not be areas for them to sit them and leave them sit. So it'll have to go with them on the court. It'll have to go with them, you know, out to the exit. There will not be any camping areas for you to leave things sitting around. Right, that 12 and 140 game, you won't be waiting between games. Maddie, correct me if I'm wrong, but that is 2 games back to back, correct? With the time periods between it.
Maddie lost internet, so she is with us.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that game time that you have, you're playing your game back to back. So you'll start one game at 12:40. You'll go through. There'll be 10 minutes. You'll change courts. You'll play right again. So there's no waiting time between games on that. Okay. 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 Yeah. Again, if you have an exhaust valve and it's covered, that's fine. As long as it's not exhausting out into the building, then sure. I mean, you can wear it if it's, you know, if it's something that is meant to be that way. So. Okay. Seems like the questions are sort of toning down. I have covered most of the information. Again, just referencing the guidebook, please read through that. I'm going to turn it over to Katie Tornes, who's our Senior Manager of Safe Sport, and she's going to give us a little update on touchline vendor information, and I'll let her just take a moment, and I'll continue to watch questions. So if you have continued questions, feel free to put those into the chat.
Perfect. Thanks so much, Lisa. So all U14, U16, and U19 games will be video recorded by our exclusive video partner, Touchline Video. We do not video the U10s, U12s, or adults. We recognize that video is important, more important now than ever due to COVID. All game video from Touchline will be uploaded into Coach Packet for college coaches to view for recruiting purposes. That upload will happen within 24 hours and usually much faster of the each game's conclusion. Video, raw footage, and edited highlight films are available to purchase through Touchline Video. Touchline is on the court taking the video, and their quality is excellent. An order form is in the chat and on our website, so please pre-order to get the best pricing. USA Field Hockey is planning to live stream the action from one court, as Lisa mentioned, for U16s and U14s weekends on our website. And then we are also looking to U19s to possibly live stream all games, internet bandwidth permitting. College coaches will also receive the live stream at no charge, as well as recording of games for recruiting purposes. So another piece is if you do want to order, just do that through the Touchline website, or you will want to contact Touchline directly. So the vendor village will be open at the U14, U16, U10, and U12 national indoor tournaments at the Nook. We will be posting vendor hours soon. So we encourage you to visit and shop out vendors after your games, or you can come back and shop if you would like throughout the day. Access to Vendor Village will be open to all attendees, and then all vendors will be following a strict COVID protocol, and we encourage everyone to social distance as you would in any store. If the Vendor Village does get too crowded, we will limit the number of shoppers, and we'll just have a line waiting out to allow more people in, just to ensure that we are social distancing. YOLO Sportswear is once again our presenting sponsor and exclusive event licensee and partners selling event and USA Field Hockey apparel. If you or your team would like to pre-purchase NIT branded apparel, please order through YOLO at YOLOsportswear.com. He is actually doing a curbside pickup as well as other options to make sure that everybody's able to get their apparel while also social distancing. As a reminder, no clubs and teams are able to reproduce and wear NIT apparel to the NITs. So just as a reminder, do not reproduce the USA Field Hockey logo or also the NIT logo. YOLO will be joined in the vendor village at the Nook by multiple other fantastic vendors. The U19 vendor village will be a bit smaller as usual, but YOLO will also be joined by Kilo Gear, Cut, and Touchline. And then we also have this other opportunity. So growing the greatest game, USA Field Hockey is proud to partner with a new initiative, Growing the Greatest Game, or GGG for short. We are working with them, and they at National Indoor Tournament will be attending the U16 and U10, U19, U10, U12 NITs to promote their program, and will also be accepting equipment donations. So they plan to be in Richmond for the U19s and adult weekend as well. Please help us make their program successful by bringing gently used equipment to the NITs to donate. GGG will accept used and new sticks and hockey bags, especially youth sticks, sizes 34 inches and shorter, new equipment, mouth guards, and shin guards. Thank you in advance for your support.
Okay, thanks, Katie. A couple more questions have popped up, so let's hit those. It's a big recruiting tournament. Why would we just not allow coaches, college coaches in and not parents? I would suggest that probably that is not a shared decision by all. Ultimately, what we are actually hearing is that many of our D2 and D3 coaches are not allowed to travel due to some of their own their own restrictions on them from their own colleges. So ultimately, we felt that trying to get the live stream available and the links up was the way to go, instead of trying to restrict parents when they had already made plans to travel and things like that. Will the live stream link be available online? We are going to have to get more information about that, because this has been so new with the changes in Richmond. We haven't been able to get all the answers to that. So just continue to watch our website, and we will get those answers up as soon as we have clarity on how that's all going to go. Okay. Again, also on the vendors at the U19, we believe that we're going to have some vendors there, but again, we have to clarify where they're going to be and how we're going to set them up with some of the new restrictions that were put on us there. Again, athletes can bring a bag with them. That's not a problem. Just know that it's not going to be allowed to be sat any place. They're going to have to keep it with them at all times. So it'll be with them in the, queue line, and then taken to the court, and then taken with them. So there just won't be camping areas for them to leave some of that equipment sitting out in the hallway. That will not be allowed at any of our facilities this year due to the restrictions or the COVID, compliance things. So, okay. All right, great. I believe this has been a great call. I hope we've answered your questions. We've tried to go through them systematically and hit as many as we have. Again, if we've missed anybody, if we've missed any of the answers to any of the questions and you want to email me directly, I think they've put my email in the chat a couple of times. It's just lmccoy@usafieldhockey.com. Be more than happy to answer any questions that you think of the rest of the evening or over the next couple of days. Yes, the D1 college coaches are still in a dead period, so they cannot attend. That's just one more question that popped up there. So, okay, we'll give just a moment here. If there's any last minute questions that you want to put into the chat, please go ahead and do that. And if not, again, we're really, really thankful that you guys joined us tonight and had such a great great set of questions for us to answer. And again, we hope that we're answering everything and we're making things clear for everybody. There's a question that just popped up about parking vouchers. I'm not sure what that means. We will not be providing parking vouchers as far as a paid parking ticket. There will be a charge for parking at the Spooky Nook Sports Complex. And in the Richmond area, as you know, there's parking lots and stuff around the facility if you're not right at a hotel that's right near there. So there will be, parking in both facilities, probably some parking, fees. So, okay, thank you again so much for everybody for joining us. This has been a great call, and look forward to seeing everybody. It's hard to believe that it will be a full year from the last time that we've gotten to see many of you. It's just hard to believe, and we're really excited to get back out there and keep things going. The Spooky Nook Sports map and the maps are in the guidebook that is online on the USA Field Hockey website under the events information page where it talks about the National Indoor Tournament. Okay, appreciate everybody coming in. Yes, there will be a specific attestation form for club coaches, and we will be getting that out to everybody shortly. Okay, thank you so much for everyone. We're going to sign off now, and again, feel free to send us some emails if you have additional questions. Thank you so much, everyone. Appreciate you coming on to the call this evening. Have a great evening.